Hey guys, well I got tagged by Shane, the backyard Bushman, a good fellow who does a lot of good work on forums, and well I owe him this video response. He had tagged me earlier this summer, wanting to know what books you use for wild edibles, and I'll leave a link to his channel down below. Check it out. He does some fun stuff. Actually, he's going back to Australia, I believe, so he made some really cool stuff. Right now he's up in the Northwest. And so basically, and check out his video he did actually, because he had some ideas that I hadn't thought about, Chinese herbs and medicines and stuff, which I thought was a great idea. My interest in wild edibles, obviously, one, I think you should get a specific book for your area. Like, this is just for the northwest coastal regions of Washington, Oregon, British Columbia, and Alaska. I've looked at other books, even the mainstream Peterson books and stuff, and they're just kind of scattered all over the place. They have pictures of things that only grow in the Southwest, and you know they grow in your area. So even some of the mainstream books I found to be inaccurate when they're trying to cover every possible angle. So I recommend getting something if you can. This is by Lone Pine, Pojar, and McKinnon that did this. I do believe they have other series in here that cover different areas. But a great book, fantastic. It does it by family. So violet, peas, buttercups, all the mustard family. You know, once you learn to identify mustard plants, then you already know, 1,300 different mustard plants. None of them are poisonous. So things like that. I like colored pictures and illustrations. Sometimes illustrations can be a little bit more clear as far as stalks and stems than pictures are. But pictures are 1,000 words. It's just phenomenal, especially when you're looking at berries, leaf structure, that's hard to get in a detail. With a picture, you can actually see it right there. See where the leaves are hinged in the back for various types of berries. Now, the two books I'm picking is this book because it does cover a lot of things. Everything from trees, bushes, ferns, peat moss, stuff that grows in riparian zones, in lakes, a whole section on lichen. I think it covers quite a bit. I like the way they did the pictures and the illustrations. And then my second one is mushrooms, because even though some edible books cover some mushrooms are something that you just really need to have your own book. And time and time again, there are people that are very familiar with mushrooms, do it all the time, and yet there was just a story, I believe on the Weather Channel, of a gentleman who was going out and picking mushrooms after each rain, and just one day they happened to grow a very similar one that was the poisonous kind. So be very careful with mushrooms. They can be very therapeutic. There are some great edibles in mushrooms, but do your homework and do some more homework, and then ask some people, and then I advise doing the edibility test. Instead of just scarfing down a whole bunch of mushrooms or edible plants. And in fact, what I'll do is I'll leave a link to Norse, who has the revised edibility plant test for the Army, I believe, was his video. So I'll put that down there because it's a really good video to go through. It's a little dry, but it's got some good info. The other reason going with the plants of the Pacific Northwest coast here is there are some uses of medicinal and cooking in here. If you are new to plant identification, my only advice to you would be to get one book that is super accurate about plant identifying. They go into leaf, how many leaves, how many lobes, what time of year, the area it grows in, rocky soil exactly. Get a book that identifies it really well, and don't worry about edibility, medicinal purposes and stuff like that. Get a book that can identify it down perfectly. Then get a second book that maybe doesn't help you identify it as easy, but once you know what, the wild clover looks like, it'll give you all the ingredients and all the listings of possible ways to cook it, possible ways to turn it into tinctures, and all sorts of stuff for medicinal purposes, because no one book really does it that well. So once you get a book that identifies it, keep a separate book for medicinal uses and ways to cook. It would be my only advice. None of the books, there's just too much information, do it all. And this is the closest one. These do have, not obviously not in the mosses, they're not going to have edibility tests, but a lot of the berries and other plants, they will list things about where the maybe native species of plants back in the day with the Native Americans, what they used it for. So it gives you a little inkling, but if you're new to wild edibles, get one that can identify the plant, and then get one for edibility and medicinal purposes. And then I advise getting a complete separate book on mushrooms, just to help identify, even though a lot of the edible books have that. And that's it. I'm not going to tag anyone because I've been kind of out of the loop this summer of who's still around and who's doing what. So feel free to do a response to this video, and we'll continue the learning. Thank you much.